presidential inaugurations are every 4 years, which means that a lot can change in the time between them, and a lot has changed over the last decade on social media. We know that. In fact, it's created quite a complicated political dynamic, but it also means a lot of companies have very active brands and respond to a lot of stuff that in the past they probably wouldn't be quick to respond to. And we saw exactly that with a lot of big companies, well-known brands, very quickly posting, tweeting about this new administration. We wanted to get some perspective on some of the ways by which they were doing that. John Yorke is the CEO of Rain 43, and he joins us now for Money and Marketing. John, good to see you as always. Walk us through some of the reactions that caught your attention.
Yeah, well, first of all, it was, obviously an exciting day in the U.S., as it is every 4 years, regardless of which side of the aisle I think people are on. And I think that it still is, must-watch TV in the U.S. and people are tuning in. I was very surprised at how long the day went and how continuous it seemed like the Twitter feed and the Facebook feed were of people who were following it. And you saw a lot of brands who were prepared. There were some brands that knew what was going to happen, and they were ready to come out and congratulate the president. We saw so you don't have to call it, President-elect Biden anymore. So you saw a lot of congratulations, Mr. President, from companies like Patagonia, who congratulated Biden specifically for a lot of his environmental policies, which was very, in the can. Ben & Jerry's came out in strong support, as well as supporting, Kamala Harris. And so some brands were ready out of the gate to get involved, to have their positions, and the brands that, to be honest with you, had permission to do so, brands that had supported these policies or these beliefs connected to their brand. The one brand that surprised me that came out, but if you analyze it, was very logical, was Audi, who came out and congratulated the president specifically for rejoining the Paris Accord. And came out and talked about their electric cars and tied it to their actual product and their vision for the future of fossil fuel less vehicles, and as they move to more cleaner fuels and identity that way. So I thought that Audi did a great job by coming out and doing that.
John, you've spent a career talking with these companies and brands. How often is it true conviction and a true, alignment of political views and business strategy, which seems a lot more real, if you will, from Ben & Jerry's, just knowing the founders and sort of their set of beliefs. Audi, it feels to me like there's probably a lot of people, they sit around the table, they hum and haw about how they're going to weigh in on political things. Historically, that would be pretty tricky waters, especially if you're, a foreign brand and you're talking about an election in what is technically another country from where you're headquartered, that kind of stuff. Yeah,
so it's a tough challenge for a lot of brands. I was impressed with Audi that they did it, because I agree with you that normally it's maybe we don't stick our toe in the water here. I paralleled the inauguration a lot like I did New Year's Eve. There's a lot of anticipation about it, as if something's going to change, and then we all wake up today and COVID's still here, and this uncivil discourse in the U.S. is still here, and there's still these challenges. So when a brand steps into either, as if there's some magical moment that happened in either the inauguration or say changing from 2020 to 2021, of course there's a shift, but there's not an instant change. So for a brand to get involved, you really have to say, okay, we're in this for the long haul. We've seen this with brands like Nike, who stick to their core when it comes to social injustice in the United States. So I do think that some brands, it's best to sit on the sidelines or change what your positions are. And then there's other brands that were definitely winners yesterday. For specific, I thought, Amanda Gorman, the youth poet, stepped up, and that really helped. If you go, she's a spokesperson for the United Way, and bringing more attention to Truist Capital and United Way and their funds, I thought was excellent.
Well, she was incredible. Yeah, she certainly was a shining star in that moment. It's interesting. I still think back to that Super Bowl moment where Oreo took advantage of the blackout. And ever since then, it feels like you've got these real-time social media teams representing brands. I think personally, it's going too far. And for me, the example that stands out from Inauguration Day were the Bernie Sanders memes. I mean, they were cute for a second, and if people don't know this, I mean, poor Bernie looking kind of chilly sitting up there wearing his winter coat and all masked up, and then people basically memed him and put him just in about every location around the world. I don't know, John. I don't know how I feel about this. I feel like there's a sort of a short lifespan on this, and sometimes brands look a bit tacky by jumping on this, but you're the expert. You tell me.
Well, I think it's honestly, it's the safer way to go if you want to be part of pop culture that's going on and you want to be relevant and you want to talk to your audience about what they're watching in real time. It's the safer way to go. You see this in guerrilla marketing a lot with brands who aren't involved with, say, the Olympics or the Super Bowl, and they want to be part of the conversation and have relevance. I think, there was hundreds of these Photoshop feeds of the Bernie Sanders meme. I had people going, I don't understand why this is funny, and some people who just think that they couldn't get enough of them. I am impressed by the Photoshop skills of the world right now. People able to do this in real time and respond. So it's not just the brands, but people who did it. The early ones who got it, I know that Benefit was, which we just showed, was one of the first people that posted, and Jameson's, and I thought it was funny. And to your point, it went on a little long and maybe still will go on a little long. But the interesting thing about these trends is, unlike back in the 80s where you had a "Where's the Beef" trend that lasted for months, some of these advertising trends will last for hours, and that's a big shift in marketing. So if you don't like it, don't worry, it will go away very, very soon. I really doubt that you'll even see reference to Bernie Sanders, maybe not even reference to the inauguration or any of this stuff at the Super Bowl, which will be the largest marketing event this year, assuming the Olympics don't go on. But yeah.
Well, we'll talk to you about that coming up. We only have about a minute left, but you kind of painted a picture of Inauguration Day, maybe not unlike the Super Bowl. To your point, everybody is engaged, everybody is watching, and brands are always looking for those moments. How many of the brands that were active on Inauguration Day, and you use Nike, which has sort of some deeper conviction and has been fairly regular, how many are going to be essentially riding the Biden bandwagon? Because I would think there is a certain amount of risk. There are still many millions of Americans who did not vote for Joe Biden. And as much as brands have to have a voice today, many are still very conservative.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think brands that are on the fringe, the brands that are connected to Kamala Harris, you had Bumble, who did a great tribute to her. There's a great program in the U.S. called Girl Up, where they shot a video of young women and young girls, specifically of ethnic diversity, watching Kamala Harris being signed in, and they created a documentary in real time. You're going to see brands that are connected, that have a reason to be part of that cause, rise up and ride with it. But you also see, even what we're talking about, Bernie Sanders, Kamala Harris, Amanda Gorman, there's just a lot of other people, Lady Gaga, who got a lot of the attention, and it wasn't Joe Biden. And brands started to steer away from being too connected to that, the anti-74 million vote, which, they still buy stuff. And, and that's still important to a lot of these brands to not disenfranchise all of America. But it is also important for brands to take stands against, which is that far right, anti-establishment that's going on. And I think those brands that have the right to do it, and again, go back to Ben and Jerry's and Nike, they're the ones that have the right to do it. So I expect to see brands like that do something big at the Super Bowl in connection. And the rest of these, they just kind of, we're there for the conversation. And I think it's whimsical. So, brands are sitting at home like the rest of us, looking for something to do. Live television is a great solution. So.
Yeah. John, thanks as always. Nice to have you with us on this Friday. That's John Yorke of Rain 43 joining us.